has actually gained ground by around 15%. That's 25% more bang for your buck. It's probably something you've never considered before, the way you've never considered Zoom calls or wearing a mask in public. But all these things seem normal now, don't they? So should investing in precious metals. Gold, silver, palladium, and platinum have proven to be safe haven investments. It's only investment with appreciating value during economic collapse. If you are interested in securing your wealth, call Noble Gold Investment at 877-646-5347 here on the screen, those of you on YouTube. Again, 877-646-5347. There's also a link down below as well. I see more blessings from Canada, New Zealand, Tennessee, love it, Massachusetts. All right, here we go. Let's get Gene on and we'll talk about a update to this decode. Gene, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right. I'll start a little bit to introduce this and why we're doing a correction on this part 8. And
Yes.
right. And the first thing we'll talk about is I want to talk about, and then we'll have Gene talk a little bit about it, is I want to talk about confronting other Christians. So we pray every day before each episode that only truth will prevail on this channel, and if there's any incorrect things we say, that you let us know so we can actually correct it. So, but there are some verses I wanted people to know. It would be nice if you just let me know one-on-one if I have an error in my channel, versus doing it other ways that probably is not the way God wants us to do it, right? So Matthew 18:15 says, if your brother sin against you, go to tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. So this is just a basic thing. If you have a problem with somebody, go to them one-on-one first, not in public. Matthew 18:16. But if he does not listen, take 1 or 2 others along with you, that every change will be established by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. So then you go with a couple other believers to try to restore that person. So there's no question there's an error here, a big error actually, and we're correcting it. Gene's already repented for it. I apologize for it. And then now we're going to do a full redo the decode in a correct way after correcting the things that we found out were wrong. There's also about 2 Timothy talking about not being quarrelsome, right? And kind, be kind. Galatians 6:1-2, basically talks about, brothers, if anyone is caught in any transgression, you who are spiritual should restore him in a spirit of gentleness. So I'm hoping we're doing that here as well in our response to this. And Proverbs 15:1 says, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So again, not being angry and actually coming to the person one-on-one, please do that. You got my email, blessedteach.com, blessed with the number 2 teach.com. It's down at the bottom. You can do contact us multiple ways. It's very open to be able to contact me. If we need to correct things, that's awesome. In fact, this is an answer to prayer that I pray every time before we go on the air. There's definitely incorrect pictures here that were very significant. Now, we're not sure if it's sabotage or not, but we know there's massive errors about the pictures that were brought in were not pictures of what they said they were. Very disappointing. It was an editor / researcher for Gene. Incorrect text as well that said some things talking about pictures being what they weren't. So we appreciate this, again, so we can correct this. That's what we're at. I've actually put that as a private video so that nobody else will see the incorrect version. And I apologize for those who have seen the incorrect version. But right now, we're going to give you the correct version. And Gene's going to also say some things, and some things on this. I would just be honest with you. It was a public attack versus coming brother. There's a lot of things that they said that were completely inaccurate as well. Attacks around numbers and stuff and putting words in our mouth that we did not say. A good example is we were showing a picture of an example of somebody that was abducted, and that was from a different decode, not this one. And that particular picture was an example. We never said it was kids in New York when we talked about that picture. Nor did we even insinuate it, in my opinion. But there's many other things like that where words were put in our mouth, which is inaccurate. But hey, overall, thank you. I'm not going to tell you who it was, and don't even put it in the chat, please. Because I don't want to there's a lot of people that grow their channels by attacking others. And I'm not going to give them the pleasure of actually giving notoriety to people that are doing that. But we really appreciate it. Let us know as much as we can. So Gene, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Rick. And I wanted to say thank you to the person that pointed all these errors out that my previous editor and compiler that was working with me. And when I found all this out, Rick and I spent many hours, and I spent an entire evening cleaning this decode up. And then Rick showed me how to do reverse imaging. So hopefully I can remember what Rick showed me in the future to do that, but I'll make sure somebody does it. About 90% of the pictures were not correct. Even some of the write-up was incorrect. So I want to tell the person thank you, although it would, again, like Rick said, it would be better to go. We learned in the military, you reprimand in private and you congratulate in public, so that we as Anons want to bolster each other up and not tear each other down. And so from the best of my understanding, based on how I do this research regarding this topic, is I look at the information from many online sources that are, you can research this topic and find many different sources besides just Phil Snyder that are talking about these deep underground military bases. I use that. I compile from many files and online sources. Then additionally, I do have some inside sources of like special forces and people that are going in these. So I use that, as well as visual troop movements that you can see both in local areas, that people in local areas tell me about. You see troop movements, you actually see the entrances going on, as well as I do take earthquake information that lines up to online sources and these other sources I just mentioned, that tell me that if you look at an earthquake and you don't see P waves, you don't see the deep waves that start earthquakes, you only see shallow waves. I don't take every one of those either. I don't take every earthquake. I mean, obviously, like if you're looking at a volcano or something, that's a natural phenomena, as well as a lot of them on the fault lines. That's natural. So I look at it, I look at the wave structure, I look at the location, I look at if there's dumps and things that I know there. It's just backup information for what I already know. So I compile and missing children reports in vast numbers in that area, strange sightings of strange craft, cattle mutilations, many different things go into vetting this information as best as I can. I realize it seems very extensive, and a lot of them. And so, from my understanding, this is the situation. What you do with my research, I'm not telling you what to think or what to believe. Like Q said, use common sense, you do your own research and come to your own conclusions. This is my conclusion and my truth. I'm not saying it should be yours. I'm saying use your own best judgment and then go in prayer and find out what speaks to you to be the truth. So if you find this to be true for you, then that's excellent. And that's good for you. And if you find it not true, then that's excellent and that's good for you. So just go with what seems to be right for you. And again, back when I first started talking about the New World Order 30 years ago, people told me I was in a fantasy world. There was no New World Order. There was no big, and it's been stages of those kind of things throughout my life that now it's commonly known, so it's commonly accepted. And so this is not commonly known. It's not hardly known by very many. There are people that do. And I also have people that I know who have actually who've been Mark Ultra and have gotten out of that and know of some of these I'm not saying that obviously every single one is not something where children are, because just like every single building in a city isn't where you're going to find children. You're going to find children in high schools and junior high schools and elementary schools, etc. You're not going to find children in an industrial building. So obviously you're going to have research, you're going to have industrial areas, you're going to have troop areas, you're going to have where you store equipment and gear, where you store foods, where you store all kinds of supplies. The majority aren't going to be for children's use. I'm not saying every single one is for that. Very few are actually, because you have many other things you need to do. It's things they want to keep out of. And then, of course, you're going to have the real ones that are being used by the government legally, like Cheyenne Mountain and Iron Mountain for storage. I'm not saying every single one's deep state either. I'm saying there's ones that are deep state, a lot of them. And I'm saying that there's a lot of them that are also like Cheyenne Mountain, which is NORAD, as well as other deep underground military bases like this person that had the site mentioned. There's ones that are secret, so that if we had an ICBM attack, they have places like the president can go to be safe. So that said, that is how I do this, and that's how I look at this, and what you do and how you do. Please use your own research and come to your own conclusions. I'm not saying what to believe. This is what I understand to be true. And then lastly, I pray on everything, and some of this information, literally God will tell me, go look here, look at this information. And that's how I originally did my first decode in the first place, is God told me this information needs to come out because this is the last hiding place for where they're doing these things to the children and all these projects and all this special stuff and what they were planning to do, like I say, where they were planning to create this war situation and then take out, like Georgia Guidestones, the human population down to 500 million, like they say on the Georgia Guidestones, and go hide in these domes and wait for all of the fallout or the virus or whatever technique that we're going to use to go in and do that. So that being said, go ahead, Rick.
All right. Yeah, so with that, what the good news is you get a whole nother decode. But I just real feel bad that we did take that one down. So this will replace that with a corrected version that we verified every single picture, right? And we actually have corrected the text. So we also realize that, hey, as we use more coordinators and editors and we're trying to expand to do more, obviously this one slowed us way down. But I really appreciate the people that have a good heart and want to help. And we just have to be more careful now about who we select to help us. And so with that, we're moving into this actual decode, which is the North America decode for Canada and Mexico, right? So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Gene.
Yes, thank you, Rick. So these are the ones I've vetted out, and we've removed all of the write-up that was incorrect that this editor that was working, that I no longer work with, had put in as and corrected everything I know how to do. I'm not saying I'm still human. There may be a small error here or there. I don't know. Absolutely. This is absolutely perfect. I mean, I'm only human and Rick's only human. We did the very best we can. So that being said, this is an ancient map, and you will see that some of the DUMs that we're going into in this decode, as well as some of the ones I've talked about that were in the US, like when you see up there in Alaska and down in the body of continental US, you'll see some of those. And you'll see some of the ones later that you see, like the one in Iceland there. You'll see those in later decodes. Because we have to do a deep level of vetting now, it's going to take me about a month or more to do each decode. So it's going to probably be mid-July or somewhere after that before I get to the next one for South America and Central America and the Caribbean. So it's going to take more time now because I had to redo this one, and then I've got to really make sure I do everything carefully and correctly so I don't overstate things. So I'm going to say there's lots of children in some of these DUMs. I'm not going to say how many. We can go to what Ted Gunderson said, where he was, I'm not even going to say his number, thousands. He was saying in the thousands, so we'll just stay with thousands, okay? Because I know people debate about numbers. I don't want to get tied up into numbers. I want to state that any children being taken down there to do anything to them that's not in the highest interest of that child and their family is a travesty and shouldn't be done at all, even if it's one child. So that being said, we need to pray for these children and to pray that this comes to an end and that this stops. Thank you so much. Scroll up, please, Rick. Thank you. God bless everybody. So this is, again, Canada decode. Canada, Mexico. We'll start off with Canada. And these hidden underground military bases are the real headquarters for the New World Order, because a lot of what they used to do above ground, they got caught. So the Mark Ultra program came out because of people like Arizona Wilder and Kathy O'Brien and many other people. And so they now take it where it's harder for these people to get away. It's harder for them to be seen because they're underground.
Yeah, and this is another statement that was attacked, I think, inaccurately. This is pretty obvious when they have this many underground bases and they had lead trains going between each other and so many of them. Give me a break. To fight this point is just another example of not being of attacking just to attack.
Right, and as many, you can go online and, like we did in the decode for the U.S., see where truck drivers are talking about driving across the country underground. I mean, there's many, those are easy to find. They're all over YouTube. You can actually see trucks underground and see trucks going underground. And then you can actually see some of these maglev systems where they start. And I show in this decode, I'll show a picture that is a example of how they build it. It's the same way they build And this is from the infrastructure that is under Manhattan. It's an example of how they do this all over the world. It's not saying that's, what is, that infrastructure is under Manhattan, but it's exactly the same technology, the same way they do it. I'm not saying that's what is everywhere. I'm saying that's how they do it, okay? Basically.
All right.
So this goes into a story that's online. It's not the person that corrected me. Thank you. It's not the person I mentioned. It's not. This is a Canadian military officer. I don't know the Canadian military officer. It's a story, an information that I found out that this researcher that I vetted this information out, that this officer, some Canadian military officer, I don't know who it is, but he said this story about how, or information about, like Phil Snyder did, about what he experienced in dropping in through a dome that he was involved in building, and they found all kinds of, and he had a battle. So this is the story of this military officer talking about his underground base experiences at Cold Lake in Canada. And this officer, not me, this officer stated it's under the lake. He claims, this officer, I don't know who it is, claims the secrets to the New World Order depopulation plan lie underground. The New World Order is a plan for a one world government. Pretty much that's well known now. According to a former Canadian military officer that I don't know, the New World Order's true sinister nature lies in the mystery surrounding thousands of deep underground military bases scattered throughout the world. Picture of the map you see here. All of those are very well-known bases, and many researchers report on these. The New World Order is the final stages of their satanic plan to reduce the world's population by 80 to 90%. People have been killed for trying to expose that, like Phil Snyder, for example. They beat him and then strangled him with this catheter. That story can be found online as well. It is basically a death sentence. When you get too close to the New World Order's plans, you're working in these dumps. I never worked in them, but you come out with the information and you have a non-disclosure agreement like Phil Snyder had. They're not going to look on that and with any kind of compassion or understanding. You're just going to be gone, like they did to Phil Snyder. A centerpiece of these plans lies in more than 1,500 underground military bases scattered worldwide. The network of underground bases conceals. Oh man, that's still there. Okay. We'll delete that. Just delete it's a, I thought I took that out. Wow. We'll leave that part out. It contains warehousing and sophisticated superhuman mind control technology, as well as advanced weaponry and weather manipulations and technologies. The other part, I haven't vetted that out, so we're going to remove that. That's not going to be in here. Like I said, I'm only going to put out what I know to be true now. Most people are sincere about defeating the New World Order. Wow, I thought I took all this out. What happened to come back? This is what the Canadian military officer is saying. Okay, so they're really looking in the wrong direction. They need to uncover and expose and alert the people of the world to what's going on beneath their surface. And I agree with that statement that we need to look up what's going on beneath our feet, because if they're dug in down there, then we need to focus on that and in that. And that's what is being done. So this is an example of a system they wanted to put under the ocean. So those tethers and things that you see are anchored to the ocean floor. Of course, if that was going underground, all you would have to do is dig the tunnel and do that infrastructure. So this is an example of how they build these magnetic Levitron trains that are vacuumed. So that's vacuum packed, and then that allows the train to go to extremely high speeds. And so this is the infrastructure under Manhattan. This is exactly a picture of something under Manhattan that is a Manhattan project. And this is an example of how the same way that they build these magnetic levitrons, using this same type of boring and things like they did building this system under Manhattan. It's just a project that they did building subways and the New York subway system. And it's the same, again, you got a technology that works, stick with what works. That's what we say in the military. It's what my car mechanic says. If you have something that works, stick with it. Don't change what works.
All right, so there's a bunch of pictures of a bunch of things they're doing. I think the one that was included was this one. So,
Yes.
yeah.
That's that one. That's where it came from. Patriots who are willing to resist New World Order should realize that globalists who have submitted are not the only problem. So what he's saying, this Canadian military officer person in this story, is that we need to, those of us who are selling out some high level military, that I was under people who sold out and I couldn't make higher rank because I wouldn't sell out. And so these sellouts are a big problem because we wouldn't be in this situation without people that should have morality and stand up and not sell out and sell us out. And so that's allowed them to enslave humanity and take a vast amount of children underground to create slaves down there. So he's just saying, what if by this time, 2029, their plan was to haul a majority of us off to labor factories to serve the global elite?
Yeah, it's like the 16-year plan to destroy America, right?
Right. And then this is the story. This is Phil Snyder talking. The complete takeover of this planet was about killing off 5, 6 to 7/8 of the world's population by 2029. That was from Phil Snyder. Then he was talking about that the periodic table of elements has 143 elements in these black programs that they're aware of. And is it possible that craft like the F-19 and the F-117 stealth fighters are using this type of metal for the high-end technology things they do, like stealth? And Phil Snyder said, I have dealt with metallurgic technology with crystalline structures not of this earth. The general public has been kept in the dark for many decades. And this is a link. You can go see this F-117, about this F-117, which is the Nighthawk. And you saw the picture there.
Pretty cool website.
And then this is, and if the other craft, this picture down here. So maybe the stealth craft use special coatings combined with electrochemical, electronic countermeasures and are actually made from elements that Phil was trying to tell about. And I also know of a person that worked on B1s. He's aware of the emitters on the leading and trailing edge of the wing. He actually was responsible for maintaining those. So this is technology I do have secondhand experience with, somebody telling me about how this works. And I'm aware of how the technology works through the engineering degree that I pursued at a university in Colorado. And this is the B-1 bomber, I believe. And they did research at Tonopah at range S2 on frequency helix devices like I said, on the new leading edge and also on the B1 on the trailing edge for the newest generation vehicles to refract lighting that makes the aircraft literally become invisible. And that's a link talking exactly about that. Can it make the plane invisible to the naked eye? You can see that's where that picture came from. So when you look at Denver, it's very strange that as you're going in, you can see the fencing. And if you drive up like Tower Boulevard, as you ride around on Pena and you come in, you can see the fencing is facing inwards. It's very strange. Why? You face the fence where you want to stop people from going.
Yeah, just the opposite.
So you're keeping people in, right?
That's kind of scary.
Why are there all these bizarre, terrible, and you saw that in the USD code, all these terrible murals, these gargoyle statues, and Lucifer the horse with the flaming red eyes out in front. If we look at this little plaque down here, this was established and put in when the airport was activated. And you can see that this plaque says that it's a time capsule. It's to be open 2094, and below the Masonic symbol of the compass and the square and their G, you can see New World Order Airport Commissioners. But if you look for that, you can find what that is.
New World Order Commission. Wow, contributors right there. That is crazy. They're not hiding that. That's hidden in plain sight, isn't it?
Yeah, New World Order. New World Airport.
All right.
And that's Lucifer. And I've got a link there about the horse and it's how it killed its creator when he was building it. Part of it fell off and cut through his leg, and he bled to death. Pinned him to the ground. He bled to death on the horse.
Lucifer. Wow, that's crazy.
And this is a picture during incoming storm to DIA. You can see the red eyes there. That's why I wanted to capture it.
Wow.
So Canadian dumps. I have a couple new ones here that I've vetted out. In the meantime, getting all this. Amazingly enough, I even got more after vetting all this out.
So it really is an update to part 8.
An update new for the old one. So this is actually more complete with less baloney pictures and write-ups. So
yeah.
Hopefully none. It's Alberta, still under dark cat control. It's called Q552. Banff National Park. It's under Banff National Park. We're program IBIS. And you can look that up. It's a sub-program under IBIS. It's called Project Mannequin. It was about the 1980s timeframe was conducted. Under Calgary in Alberta, it's the whole under the whole city. There's many different entrances in Calgary. Then in Cold Lake, we had the one about the military officer was talking. I have vetted out that there is some dumb under there. I don't know about the whole lake, but there's some dumb under there. There's at least some. Okay.
All right, Gene.
Please, Rick.
Hey, Gene, you're gonna need to tell me when to move up because I am actually also texting out the new link to everybody.
So British Columbia, Cold Lake, by the way, is on the border of Alberta and Saskatchewan. As I said, it's discussed by the Canadian officer story. Then in British Columbia, there's the Vancouver Island that we know during the last show when we did this. There was actually earthquakes that were no P waves, knocking people out of their chairs during the show, during the time we were going into Vancouver Island. Under the entire island, there's a massive dump. This one is a Mark Ultra Mill, a child trafficking hub for transfer of children between the U.S., Washington State, and Canada. And it's very easy to do that. You don't have to have a lot of tunnel to get from Vancouver Island, Washington State, and British Columbia. You can see I've taken a ferry. It's not a very long ferry ride from Washington State to Victoria in Vancouver Island. Montreal underneath starts underneath Lake Ontario. The dump runs are underneath half the lake. It starts. There's tunnel entrances from the building in the middle you can see with a little flag on it as well. And you can see this is a picture here below that of the Space Needle, Lake Ontario, Lake Ontario area. Scroll up, Rick.
Thank you.
There. Then continue scrolling. There you go. Thank you. White hat control, as we remember during the Hurricane Dorian decode last year. Point Lepreau was taken out. That's a nuclear facility there. You can see the earthquake information. Again, no P waves. Okay, that's a picture of Point Lepreau. Newfoundland, that's the Wabana iron ore mine. It's in the Newfoundland entrance. They often use what looks like abandoned things to go in. We'll have hologram down deep inside sometimes, or some type of secret way of getting in that looks very unobtrusive, abandoned, old. This mining town in which this mine is located is in Newfoundland. The mine has been condemned and is off limits, and the police enforce this abandoned mine. So if it's truly abandoned, I mean, other than keeping it from people getting lost or hurt in there, I can see that why you would have police. There may be other reasons. Goose Bay Airport in Labrador Military Museum's an entrance to the Dome in Goose Bay, as well as 29 miles north, there's an abandoned sand pit. They quite often use sand pits. It's very easy where you can have doors slide open. The sand then as it once the entrance is done being used, they have big, huge blowers that just blow the sand and rock back up and recycle it back up. So it's a perfect cover. Go ahead and scroll up, please, Rick. So you can see the sand pit. Then on the way up to the sand pit, there's another entrance that's for ninth circle activities on the way up to that sand pit. That's an entrance for that. Then in Northwest Territories, there's Nahini Valley, uh, still under Black Cats, located approximately 550 miles due west of Fort Simpson on the McKenzie River, and spans 250 square miles under the southern portion of McKenzie Mountains. Both hot springs and sulfur geysers make this valley about 30 degrees warmer year-round than the surrounding area. Since this valley is above 60 degrees latitude, it's perpetually mist covered because you have a temperature aversion because of the heat of these geysers in the valley. As you can see, it's very low, but you have cold air sitting on top of that because of its high latitude. That thing keeps it misty all the time. So it's a really great place to have a dome because it's always, frequently, and this is a rare picture where you don't see much mist here. And it's a beautiful valley. I mean, oh my gosh, it's
beautiful. Yeah.
In Nova Scotia, Halifax was taken out again during Hurricane Dorian. And in Ontario, we have under Black Cat control still the Canadian Forces Base called CFB. This is an update, by the way. This is North Bay, 200 feet. It's a shallow one. It's 200 feet below the surface. And then we have the Great Lakes Triangle, the massive dome that connects through most of the Great Lakes in the upper part of Michigan and goes as well from Chicago. This dome is one of the world's largest, going under all of Lake Superior and much of Lake Michigan and part of Lake Huron. So Rick found this really excellent picture to show for people that can't hold or haven't really seen the Great Lakes well. This is really lays it out really clear, so you can see how big Lake Superior is and Lake Michigan, and then it goes all the way over to Lake Huron and Lake Ontario. So it's you can see how massive this thing must be. I'm not saying it's literally completely under everything in that whole landmass, but you have, under Lake Superior, and then you have under Lake Michigan, you have under Lake Huron. And it's what they call the triangle because those big bases will be connected by train, maglev, tunnel systems, things that they can drive in as they see fit to create whatever they've created down there so that they connect that, as well as what they call the mitten of Michigan. There you can see the mitten, and that the upper finger part of the mitten is also a lot of dome activity and tunnels and a high level of children and people going missing, a lot of odd sightings. Military movements are being seen there now, copters, special forces in the area. So there's a lot of activity going on there now. Scroll up, Rick. Thank you. Lake under Ottawa, under the entire city, under Ottawa City. The primary entrance is from the Rideau Center that you can see, as well as from the Parliament building. And then you can see they love their symbols. You have the two temples, what they call Joaz and Joaquin, when the Masonics, and there's entrances from that as well. Scroll up, please, Rick. Toronto, it's under the entire city again. They're obviously doing some kind of high energy experiments or projects because in the area directly centered under Girard and Church Street, there's a lot of abnormal magnetic effects that occur and a lot of accidents due to that. If you're driving a car or some motor vehicle, you have high level magnetic fields, it can create quite a lot of havoc with the vehicle and upset the workings of the vehicle. So a lot of accidents, as well as heavy machinery, if you're in that area with those high level magnetic fields, can create a lot of havoc. And there's a lot of accidents that are due to that. So the accident rate in Toronto, especially centered on Girard and Church, is very high due to the what is believed to be underground equipment using high magnetic fields that are causing the equipment failures. In regards to these tunnels, there's a lot of Native American legends, Canadian Native Americans, about these tunnels as well. So the tunnels are ancient as well. In Quebec, at Muscogee, at that latitude and longitude, that was cleared by the Alliance on the 29th of March. That's the symbol. You can see the double-headed eagle with the lion. That's another one of the royal bloodlines, the black nobility. And then you can see the Merovingian symbol, the M, for Muscogee. Muscogee's actually using that as their symbol. You can see where Muscogee is located up north and east of west of Maine and north of Vermont, near in the Montreal area there. Under Montreal City, you enter from Mount Royal, which is part of the dome also. Other entrances are the oratory at St. Joseph's from the and as well as from the underground city for shopping. I want to thank a person for giving me information on that is in Canada. I won't give the person's name. I don't know if they're okay with that. That's still in Black Hat control, as is Rene Leveur. I can't say that. Levasseur Island, which is odd how it's a perfectly round island. Some kind of odd natural feature. It actually looks like a Q now that I look. A double Q.
Yeah, it's like a little bit Q action going on.
Perfect circle. Interesting. Saskatchewan, there's a dome under Saskatoon. I just put the map so people that don't know Canada, well, I'm sure Canadians know exactly where Saskatoon is. Like most people know where Denver or Chicago is. For non-Canadians, here we go. Here's where Saskatoon is. And there's a lot of dumb activity and missing children and military activity starting at the end of last show at around midnight to 1 a.m. At the end of our last show on this Canadian, there was military activity noted in Saskatoon. Mm-hmm. Yukon Territories, Brook Range, Lake Schwatka. This is in the streets. You can see the streets are laid out in what looks kind of like the Playboy Bunny here. And then also in Haines Junction was cleaned out on the 28th of March. Haines Junction's up in the mountain range here, as you can see. That's the latitude, longitude on the map. In Richardson Mountains, the Mount Hare area, as notated there. There's a broader view. Mexican dumps, Acambaro, that's still under Dark Hat control. You see the location. Alberto Oviedo Mota, Baja. It's in the Baja California at that lat long. That was cleaned on the 2nd of April of this year. Mexico City is a huge, anytime you've got a lot of homeless people, very impoverished people, you get a huge dump. An area where it would be very inviting for the cabal to do things because they have a population they can tap into. So trafficking hub in addition to a Ninth Circle sacrifice area under Mexico City. Then in Mitla, in southeast was Oaxaca, I'm probably not pronouncing that right, Oaxaca, Ninth Circle and demonic sacrifice area. Then Ojinago, I won't try to pronounce it, still under Black Hat control. Sonora, the Hidden Valley of Chihutlan. Then also Teotihuacan, the Alliance cleaned that in June of 2019. You can see the mountain behind the Pyramid of the Sun there. That is primarily the dome. It's in that mountain. It goes from, yes, sir. Goes from the tunnel system, the ancient tunnel system built by the builders of Teotihuacan. What the Cabal often does is use ancient systems and tunnels to create a larger system or a larger dome. It gives them access. They're already underground to where they can then enlarge that. Scroll up, please, Rick. And get another picture of it. And this, again, has been greatly restored to how this looked in the 1800s. If you go back, they've done massive restoration. But this is how it looked by the builders, of course. And so they restored it as close as they can know. Then in the Leoba, the Cave Zapateca region, still under Black Hat control. The village of Leoba, or to translate the Cavern of Death, is located in the province of Zapateca, near the ancient village of Mictlan, or the village of the underworld. The Leoba cave entrance was sealed off by Catholic priests these Catholic priest, let me get a drink, hold on. I was getting dry.
Sage is saying it's pronounced Osaka.
Okay. I don't speak Aztec or Mayan or any of those things. So our Spanish, well, they believed it to be an entrance to hell, the priest did, due to a lot of odd and terrible things that were happening there.
Pronounced Oaxaca. Oaxaca is what James is saying.
Okay, Oaxaca. Okay. There we go. So, and there's another entrance from that notation. As you can see, the Cavern of Death Temple had 4 rooms above the ground and 4 more important chambers built below the surface of the earth. The building was located at, I'll try, Theosapatlan or Depatlan. The tunnel entrance leads beneath a mountain, and we covered this in the previous decode. This is part of the dumb tunnel, and it's a symbol of a mask of an owl, where you have a little handle and you can hold that, and that's part of the dumb tunnel system.
Right, so this would be like the right eye and the left eye if the person's facing you with a big nose right here, and that's the handle to hold the mask, right? So pure masquerade type owl symbol, right, with the nose here.
As Q says, symbols will be their downfall. It's a good way to look at it. You can see how they also have the different Masonic sacred geometry symbols that they like to twist and utilize.
So this looks like almost the obelisk, right? I don't know if that's there, or I don't know what else you're looking at. What
it's hard to say. You'd have to zoom in on this with Google Earth or go there.
Right. But,
I can't tell exactly what is up there. And then this is another one of a little more distant, showing this location a little more distantly. I think we're done, Rick.
Wow, so, we got it.
You.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Gene for putting a bunch of extra effort. We spent a lot of time looking up every single picture, and so we realized it's just wasting our time to get coordinators in that don't have the right heart. And the ones that have the right heart, thank you so much, because we're going to be able to expand and do things much faster in the future. But this is actually going to slow us way down.
Careful on vetting people who I work with in the future. What I thought was accelerating me slowed me down by 2 months and made me deathly ill as well. We got massive attacked.
Yeah, so this was, just made it taught us a lesson that we have to be very careful who we bring into the inner circle of what we're doing here. And but this is going to slow down a lot. I know it's going to disappoint people because people are saying, please do Europe, please do Australia, please do South Africa. And I just want to let you know that Gene's going to have to be much more careful. And the good news is it's going to be very comprehensive. And there's people that are helping to pull stuff together that we would have never gotten if it wasn't for the expanded team that Gene's put together. Anything else on that, Gene, on future decodes?
The word would be methodical. And yes, Australia has a lot. And when we get there, which will be a while now, Australia is, think Pine Gap and Canberra are the big 2 in Australia, as well as a place called Black Mountain. There's a lot of ancient stuff going on there. So I'll just put that out and then for those people in Africa, South Africa, a lot of that is very, very ancient and very, very massive down there. That's where the really nasties are down there. It's their stronghold on Earth is actually South Africa. Pretty much all the old diamond mines and gold mines that constantly, like Phil Snyder did, come through something and find something they don't expect when they're doing gold mines and diamond mines in South Africa. So just a heads up on that information, as well as the Vatican, and people know about what we've heard about what's in the Vatican. So that's another huge thing. So,
but some great news here, though, right? I was just remember when I first started hearing about this from you, Gene, it's like almost all of these were under black hat control. And I think most of the United States has been closely cleaned out, right? So we're getting really good there. And
then again, in regards to this, and people say it's very fantastic to think that there's hundreds of these in the U.S. And like I said, to people thought I was in a fantasy world. And 30 years ago, talking about until George Bush came out, way before he talked about it, I was trying to tell people there was a new world order, and you're in a fantasy world. And then the secret space programs, until we got whistleblowers like Martin William Cooper and people that were working in those areas, as well as William Tompkins, Corey Good, Emery Smith, and so we've had various whistleblowers come out and people that have been in the programs, and we have our ultras that I have as well that have told me about some of these dumps that they've been in, and some of the ones I did in the U.S. that you can't find online. I had Mark Ultras even telling me, wow, how do you know this information, Gene? But so I know it sounds very fantastic. I understand that right now because it's new. And so a lot of times God will tell me to bring forth information. That's why I came back, why he allowed me to come back, why I stand at service. is to bring out these information. So I look at it as, okay, let's look at this two ways. If it is totally fantastic and, I'm out of my mind, for example, what does it hurt if we focus our attention here and you do other things as well? Yeah, it's taking some of your time up, okay? But other than that, what if it is true though? Then we're praying and helping and praying for children to be rescued and this to come to an end. I would say that's worth the two polarities there, that if it is even remotely true that there are some children down in these domes and there's some of this or even all of this, that our prayers and our mind focus protects the troops going down there, helps to get these children up. When you pray to see something done. Don't pray, oh, this is terrible, this is being done. Pray, this is going, we see this ending, we see these children coming out. If you focus on the negative, that's what you get. Focus on the bodies. So the focusing, my whole intent is to focus that however many domes there are, my understanding is what I'm saying, but even if it's one dome where children are being down there, focus your mind that this comes to an end and that our children are not being stolen off the streets or from wherever they're being stolen and turned into these Mark Ultras and these other type of things, and doing any sacrifices, even one is way too many. And one child harvest for adrenochrome is a sin against God and his creation and his son, his holy son, Jesus Christ. So we need to pray and focus. And so that is my focus, that this comes to an end. And so I look at it the same thing with anybody that is in this movement. If I try to assume that everybody is the best person and a good person. So I look at somebody that is talking about something and what if they're completely in their fantasy world, what's following them do? Is there damage? But what if they're saying is true? Then if I pray that what they're saying, that children are rescued or that, we're not enslaved, our money's not stolen from us, we don't pay fake taxes and fake this and fake loans, all this, then that needs to be focused on. So that being said, thank you, Rick, for allowing me to be on your show and to give me a platform to bring what I understand to be the truth of God and his creation and the truth of this evil satanic cabal and trying to.
Hey, I forgot, Lou's saying he has a decode that is ready for you to read, Gene. I'm not sure. I know we talked about a bit of a delay here, but just if you wanted to do that.
I'm sorry about that, Lou. We had to redo. We were going to actually do your decode today, is what I was hoping, but we had to redo this because as Rick said, we want to be truthful here. And so when this gentleman pointed out this information that was in there, which was a vast amount, I removed all that information that I did not put in this and cleaned it up, and with Rick's help did the reverse image searching. Hopefully I can figure out what he did. I'm not very techy, but I'll try. And so we're going to try to get, as soon as Rick gets a chance, I would love to read your decode, Lou, because it's excellent.
Yeah. And then we have also, I just want to talk about several things of why I believe this is absolutely true. Not only do I trust Gene, number one, but number two, if you go backstage, I have a little 3-minute video that Mark Taylor let me put there of after he was here live. Mark confirmed underground war activity. Okay, so you go look at a little 3-minute video backstage in the exclusive area. So those of you who are backstage. Secondly, is Amanda Grace has a very good friend that is a Jewish Masonic person who was in the NSA number 3 in line and retired, came back when Trump came, and has confirmed that. And he's saying, I'm just telling you what he's saying, tens of thousands of children being rescued. Okay, and everybody's saying, where are they? Again, there's a lot of damaged kids that can't even come up ground for a while. A lot of health issues, a lot of demonic issues. So that there's going to be massive rehabilitation. We need to be praying for them, whether it's 10 or it's 10,000. Okay. And then we also have a lot of other confirmations of these domes based on the earthquakes, etc. No P waves happen to be right on the dumb tunnels. There's just way too confirmation to say that this is a fantasy world. Okay.
And then also we saw in the decode I did for the U.S. where the constellations of Orion, and they love this.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
The constellations of Orion and Gemini overlie the domes again. I mean, it's like what Q said. At what point does it become mathematically impossible, the coincidences lining up? And then also in regards to what Rick was saying earlier, Mark Taylor also said there's stuff going on beneath our feet. Had said something about the DUNS, right, Rick?
Yeah, exactly. So those of you who have who are on Backstage, go to the exclusive and find talking about that little 3-minute video there. And then also, we are getting a lot of questions. I'm just going to be before just to bridge into the decodes for Q, because there's a lot of them. I wanted to also just answer a couple of questions that's happening about Backstage. And if you go to blessedteach.com, I just recorded a whole new video with a new interface to make it easier for Backstagers to work. The logins moved to right here, Backstagers. So you don't need to go into the Backstage. This is if you're interested in looking into investigating and buying it and actually joining us Backstage, right? Again, we go down really deep rabbit holes. Don't join unless you really want to go rabbit holes. I've got 1 through 10 levels. 1 through 7 is Backstage. Then you need to. Then as you go on that, you can upgrade the Genes Unleashed, which actually gets into even deeper stuff at levels 8 and above, and that's where you're going to get an extra 2-hour class per month with Gene. There's going to be one on sun gazing coming up Monday. So if you again, you need to be in Gene Unleashed to do that, because that's a lot of people are uncomfortable. They don't think it's correct, and that's fine. Don't join Unleashed unless you are going to explore that and give Gene the benefit of the doubt. Okay, so that'll be Monday around 7 o'clock or so. We will do the sun gazing 2-hour show probably with Gene on Monday night for those that have exclusive. Only those that have exclusive. Okay, so this is the way you'll get into the login. You just click on that and it'll ask you to say, hey, once you have your login, it'll say, hey, log into Backstage with Blessed to Teach. Again, there's a special going on still. The 25% off the monthly and a 45% off the 25%, so a double benefit if you pay for a year in advance. And we'd love to join back there. And once I'm done in about 45 minutes or so, join us Backstage. Gene's been doing an hour, sometimes 2 hour of Q&A. So most of the exclusive stuff in Backstage is happening right after the show. And again, if you miss it, you can get the recording. So that's just a big thing on Backstage. With that, go ahead, Gene.
On Backstage, for those that can't afford it or don't want to afford it and want my information, if you'll contact me at my Gmail, my coordinators, when you contact me at my Gmail, you need to put the country and your state or province. So for example, if you're US, you would put US, and if you were in Illinois, you would put IL, US/IL. Canada, for example, CA/ON for Ontario, or BC for British Columbia. So or another country would just be Germany or Italy, and my coordinators, it'll go to my coordinators that I've trained many hours online, and they have all my information, all my files, so they can give you much on 98% of everything I put out. You don't have to pay for it if you don't want to. I will give you the information, but if you contact me or you target my coordinators, it's already been done. They've been attacked too. If you come disrespectful or vulgar, you're just going to be blocked. I'm here for information. I'm not here to debate subjects. If you want information, I will give you the information for free. It's COLOSENSEI64@gmail.com. Make sure you put in the header in the subject line again where you're from. Otherwise, it's just going to come back to you for a location reroute so that you can get. And you'll have to wait because you'll go down in the queue of the 100 or over 120, 30 emails I get a day, because I have 14 coordinators in the world, and it's going to be doubling that really soon. So with that, you can get the information. You don't have to pay. But if you pay, of course, you get, I'm talking to you live if you want that. And so I do give the information. It's not paid for everything and pay. I understand that. And a lot of people can't afford to. I don't want people, like I had a very kind woman say, she went without food to go Backstage. Please don't do that. I'll give you the information unless you really just have to hear me talking.
Yeah. Hey, there's another option too I want to tell people about real quick. First of all, when it comes to email and Gene, if you can't remember that email or whatever, you can contact me. Just make sure you put where you're from here so that Gene can get it to the right coordinator. You can also subscribe to the Blessed Teach list to get the source information at the same time you send me a message. It's always at the bottom of my. There's my email right there as well, so I get it to Gene if you can't remember his email for some reason. Also, I wanted to let you know that Amy, who's been awesome, for people that are in fixed income, is doing a very reduced cost for Backstage. Only if you can, document that you have fixed income and can't really afford it. It's not that bad. If you just come here and say join Rick Backstage or sign up now, it's like $14 a month or $8 a month if you pay the year in advance. Okay. Again, Amy can help you if you come back, if you want to try to get Backstage and hear Gene live with talking. But again, Gene has a great coordinators, and through email you can answer your questions. And thank you for doing that, Gene. That's a great service to everybody for free. Really appreciate you doing that.
And then also I want to say that I don't dox anybody, including my coordinators, my researchers. So for those that are asking who they are, when you're answered in emails, that's not their name. That's an alias. It's not safe at this time of the war that we're in with the deep state. Trump's had enough attempts on his life, and I don't need to have my coordinators or myself be another Seth Rich. And so people will be attacked, and we know what the deep state does. So we're trying to keep people as safe as possible. So don't bother asking them or me who they are or who my researchers are. I'll give you a name. It's not going to be a real name. It's going to be an alias, because I want to keep people safe. We're here to give information. I'm not here to risk people's lives and jeopardize their standard of living or anything else. I'm here to give information and try the truth. And so as that, I'm here for information. I don't have direct line to Trump. I don't have I'm not the fire department. I give out information. So if you're a targeted individual in Mark Ultra, I can't, I wish I could help everybody on earth, but I can't. I'm just a decoder. I just give what I understand to be information due to my research that I do and over 30 years of information. And then when God talks to me, I add that in, and the insiders that I have, I add that in. That's all. Thank you so much. God bless.
All right. Thanks, Gene, for your great service. You really full-time working 100+ hour weeks to serve us. So we thank you so much for that. With that, I'm going to move to the decodes. Gene, come on if you have anything to add as I go here. This is going to kind of be interesting because I didn't have time to go through them in detail like I usually do, but I want to catch up and need to catch up. So let's do this. This is going to go over the 5th and the 6th. There's a bunch of new Q drops hitting us. So we're going to start where I had, the last one I went over was June 4th. So we're going to go to June 5th here. We've got this tweet right here by Harlan that says, do you see what's happening? He was just trying to wake us up to show us exactly what's happening. And that is, I kind of summarize this to people. Number one, impeachment. You back up to Russia, but then impeachment, right? And then all of a sudden they delayed it to try to get the bio, what I would call a bio, WEAPON. I can't say that, or they'll take this video down, and created a plandemic, I call it, and then require mask, right? Require mask. That way you can hide Antifa pretty well when you have required mask. Then you have the planned riots that come in. You deliver bricks to them. You have the mayors actually back off the police, right? You have a whole slew of events that are very, very obvious. It's really scary when we're seeing hydroxychloroquine, but they used fake studies to keep people from getting proper treatment, to inflate the numbers. They're trying to destroy the economy, create masks. I missed one in there. That was they released all the criminals, using COVID-19 as an excuse to release criminals so Antifa could be added even more criminals on the street. This is extremely obvious what's happening, and that's what Q keeps saying. That's why I believe when Q is saying, do you see what's happening? Release criminals. Actually get more Antifa support in there. Then the governors and the mayors actually allow safe zones. You deliver bricks to them. And then the peaceful protesters in a mask actually look the same as Antifa, to hide Antifa within the crowds. That's why if you were protesting with a mask on, you're doing massive damage and letting Soros get what he wants, creating purposeful chaos and riots, trying to take down Trump. And you're basically helping the cabal. So please think about it. Yes, it's great if you have a heart and you want to show that you support Floyd, and you really don't want racism in this country. That's awesome. But to be out on the street right now in a mask is stupidity, is absolute stupidity, because it's helping hide criminals who are destroying our cities, criminals who are actually helping George Soros try to take over this world with a new world order. Please do not be out protesting in the mask, okay? And so that is a 4421. We just get, it looks like we need to bring this back up. This is a tweet. It's like organizers say 1 million people are coming to protest in D.C. this weekend. If coronavirus is really as dangerous as the media claimed just 3 weeks ago, this is basically a biological attack on the nation's capital. Very good logic there. That's 4221. Organizers say 1 million people are coming to protest in D.C. this weekend. Here's 4422. You see a link, and it has change we can believe in, kind of poking at Obama's campaign. And here is Catherine Heritage, who seems to be one of the chosen persons, like he used to have John Solomon and Sarah Carter, really being used to disseminate information of what the White Hats want. It looks like now a lot of it's going to Catherine Heritage to try to start getting some of the normies that watch CBS woken up. It says Republican-led Senate, Homeland Security, and Governmental Affairs Committees have authorized Senator Ron Johnson to issue subpoenas FBI, Crossfire Hurricane, State Department contact author Steele dossier, and unmasking by former government officials. Plus 30 names read at CBS News. And there you go. Look at some of these names, guys. Really talking about exactly what they did. FBI, all records, the Crossfire Hurricane investigation, showing that this whole unmasking thing was completely, in my opinion, criminal. That the Department of State of the production of the records related to meetings or communications between the Department of State officials and employees with Christopher Steele, any exchange of information between these official employees and Mr. Steele. So now this is just talking about this whole D class and what some of the things are. Number 3, to the Office of Director of National Intelligence for the production of all records related to unmasking. So this is really getting into the communication with the Christopher Steele. It's getting into the unmasking, and it's also for all records related to Crossfire Hurricane. So those 3 major things. And then it actually shows the people. James Baker. In the pink, you'll see these are all the FBI criminals, in my opinion. That's James Baker. We got Kevin Kleinsmith, James Comey. We got Lisa Page, Joe Panika. We got Bill Priestap and Peter Strzok. All these people in pink marked there are obviously the FBI criminals that organized Crossfire Hurricane. And you see unmasking is John Brennan, James Clapper, and then it's got Kathleen Kavalak, right? All these unmaskings that are happening. You see a bunch of yellow ones that are bringing some certain people together as well. Interesting notes on this that was actually leaked, or was actually, I guess, declassed to Catherine Heritage. That is really interesting stuff that's going on. That's change we can believe in. Poking at Obama, saying that, yeah, that's what, you know what change, the change is going to be, that we are actually getting information to the public to show the criminal activity of the Obama administration. 4422 says, Senate authorized issuance of subpoenas for FBI Crossfire Hurricane investigation, Obamagate. Moving to 4423, we send Anon says, Q, are Heritage's pin positions comms? Isn't that real interesting? So if we go back, it says, follow the pin. Have you not been following Q? So, wow. So if you go back and look at the pin locations here, look at that. There it is, a pin, a couple of pins there. So that's obviously coming back to around the 11 mark or 11 and a half mark, and this is kind of coming to the 5:30 of a clock. If you put a clock around here, so these pin positions could also be something to look at. Q's kind of confirming that, yes, they are going to mean something later. We'll point to you. So
4 minutes till 6, Rick.
What?
Those pin positions are 4 or 5 minutes till 6.
Yeah, if you're talking about the big hand one way and the little hand the other way, right? So you're taking the big hand here, the little hand here. No, the big hand here, little hand here. I gotcha.
Yeah, pink is the big hand.
Awesome. So we don't know what that means yet. Nobody's guessed on that yet, have they?
Look at what's highlighted in pink and look what's highlighted in yellow. And for those that know decoding, start working from the time. This is a timestamp, and look at what is relating to the minutes, and look at what's relating to the hours. and then coordinate for locations, hours in minutes to minutes and seconds in degrees latitude and longitude, and take the names and take their locations of where they're from. That's how you start decoding, just to let you know.
Yeah, interesting stuff there. This would be the big hand going down to the
Mm-hmm.
5:30, and this would be the hand coming up to. Well, this if this is the big hand, wouldn't that be pointing up to just before 6 o'clock, right?
Right, you're just before 6. It's getting ready to roll 6.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so that is follow the pin. Have you not been following? Q. So the summary of that is follow the pin applies to both POTUS and Catherine. Woo! Interesting stuff. 4424. Got a link here to a tweet, and it says, what happens when the gag order is lifted? Case dismissed. This is Flynn. What's going to happen with Flynn? A letter from Flynn from Bards FM. And it has, Scott, if the United States wants to survive an onslaught of socialism, if we are to continue to enjoy self-government, to secure the God-given individual blessings of liberty for ourselves, for our families, the good Americans must accept that each has a moral obligation to participate in the political life of our country. The art of exercise of self-governance requires active participation. Voting matters, but it is only a part-time engagement of the American citizenry and doesn't go far enough if we are to survive as a constitutional republic. Remember, we're not a democracy, as we are a constitutional republic. In other words, the mob can't rule because there's constitutional values that protect the minorities as well. The minority in any issue. I want to see more of our veteran and law enforcement communities become involved in the political life of America. We are a participatory experiment in governing. Without a greater commitment, we will continue our slide into the abyss of socialism. And we must not be intimidated by the smear campaigns that will most certainly come with greater and more active participation. We will only keep America if we dedicate ourselves to freedom's victory over the socialist monster by our good citizens accepting greater responsibility. I am not done. God bless Mike. Michael T. Flynn. There you go. I am not done. You gotta love that. And it says, what happens when the gag order is lifted? Talking about Flynn. The case dismissed. I am not done. Be all you can be. Army strong. They knew they could not destroy America through invasion. Infiltration at the highest levels of government, media, science, health, military, COC, and then final level Q. Look at that. So this is real interesting. I like how they have science and health here. Science and health being like the WHO and the CDC and all the corruption that's being outed right there. Like, for instance, that fake study. And that's been touted by the media as how bad hydroxychloroquine was, when they were just lying through their teeth, literally killed thousands of people that should have got proper treatment. Because if you oxygenate the system with things like hydroxychloroquine or MSM or hydrogen peroxide, especially when you concluded hydroxychloroquine with zinc and with a Z-Pack. That's what doctors are telling us, not me. That's what doctors tell us is working for almost every people, no matter how severe they are, as long as they're not about ready to die, like another false study did at the VA. So they literally will kill people to keep their power. Obviously, we're seeing that right now with the riots. We saw it with pushing people to the nursing homes with the COVID-19. We saw it with hiding the effectiveness of hydroxychloroquine. Now we're seeing it with they're literally going to burn cities and they don't really care. They're using the death of one black man, Flynn, and we had a black police officer just killed by these riots the other day. Other people, the Dallas store owner being killed by stomping on his head and is bleeding from his head. This is insurrection. This is what we're talking about. This is the final level. This is their last straw. This is the rat cornered. 4423 says, General Flynn is not done. wants to see more vets and law enforcement in American politics. That's 4424. Here we go to 4425. We see another tweet. Full MSDNC blitzkrieg. Known and ready. October surprises being prepped and warned. Q. He's pointing to this tweet right here. CNN person with direct knowledge at Anderson Cooper has been planning a town hall for months with Gary Cohn, Jim Mattis, John Kelly, and McMaster to air in September, right before the elections. They will make stuff up and say that Trump is unfit for office. Mattis and Kelly signed on. Cohn and HR on the fence. And HR is completely deep state. We know that. So we just know that these other people are actually being used by the deep state to try to take Trump down. We're seeing that. And so Q clearly is saying full MSDNC blitzkrieg. In other words, the media is DNC back because that's what the cabal needs to take out Trump. Known and ready. October surprises being prepped and warned. The summary is General Mattis, Kelly, and McMaster to hold town hall with Anderson Cooper, CIA himself, right? Operation Mockingbird standard there. That is 4425. Now we move to 4426, and we see important to understand. MSDNC social media projection. We are the minority is false. We are the majority and growing every second of the day. MSDNC, social plus social media, projection, we are divided is false. We are united and only getting stronger. People are awake and see what is happening. Patriots have no skin color. Humanity is good. Q. So that's 4426. Important to understand that we are the majority growing fast, united, and getting stronger. Don't let this fear, remember, fear is the opposite of faith. 4426, let's turn to 4427. And we see an old post all the way from June of 2018. Just think about this. Now, we also saw on October 31st of 2017 telling us about Soros groups getting violent and governors and mayors and chief police not enforcing the law. Now we see another Q proof here, 1585, which was on June 21st, 2018, where it said, we told you proofs were going to be important very soon. New wise, be ready, 5-5. Thanks for your service. Q. We stand, we fight together. Organized riots being planned. Again, this is back in June of 2018. Countermeasures are in place. Those countermeasures in place are happening right now behind the scenes. We'll find out more about it, I'm sure, soon. Resistance far smaller than portrayed by MSM. Attacks will intensify. You collectively are a massive threat. Censorship applied to scale down impact reach. It's failing. Trust yourself. Public awakening. Q. The whole key to this is that we all awaken. That our lefty friends, our blue-pilled friends awaken. So our job's not to ridicule them. Our job's not to tell them they're stupid. No. This is he who controls the media controls the mind. They're just operating in busy with other things and probably aren't paying as much attention as you are. And as the world starts crumbling, they're going to start listening and asking questions. So this is the time to be praying for them. This is the time to be planting seeds to them. So do not give up on your the people that have thought you were crazy for years. This is the time they might listen more. Okay? All right, that is seeing is believing. Have faith in humanity. Q. So this is just another huge Q proof. 4427. Q told us there would be riots on June 21st, 2018. A Q proof. Now we go to 4428, and it's another tweet. It says, attempt another to remove the White House protection. Ask yourself why. Here's a New Jersey at Governor Murphy. I request that you remove your National Guard from our city. They were brought into the district without my knowledge and request. I appreciate your service, but your presence encroaches on the rights of 705 tax-paying residents. Can you say idiot? This is just crazy. that we have, and so this is part of what can wake up your blue-pilled friends that are on the left. They literally see their city being burned down to the ground and all this massive lawlessness of criminal activity in the streets. And then you don't have the National Guard being called in to help. You risk the life of all these policemen. And there is a actual letter that he wrote right there. Just scary stuff. I'm not going to read that because it's a letter from an idiot basically allowing insurrection to happen on a purpose. And they have safe zones, or they're bringing bricks to them. They're talking about defunding the police. This is the same group of people that wanted to get rid of ICE and open up the borders. This is the people that want to destroy America and bring in socialism. This is the plan. This is the Saul Alinsky tactics that Soros uses. And actually they infiltrated our universities, infiltrated Hollywood, and infiltrated all areas of culture to be able to have our young people come out thinking socialism is good, the country's bad, America's bad. But you know what? That's all turning. Generation Z showing to be more patriotic than many, and a shocking surprise to many people. And you have the Blexit movement. I saw one study that was pointing toward upwards of 40% of African Americans supporting Trump now. Seeing the walkaway movement, the huge growth in this movement in QAnon. All those added together are spelling huge trouble for this satanic cabal. 4428 is summarized as DC Mayor Murrell asked New Jersey governor to remove the New Jersey National Guard from DC. Ask yourself why. Enemy of the people. Q. So all these attempts to remove White House protection. They want to destroy the White House. That's 4428. Now we turn to 4429, and there's an Amazon.com S3 thing here. And it's basically just where they've held this Holy Trinity Sunday. And the actual post here is talking about the armor of God. You got to love that. You got to love it when he's talking about the armor of God. So this is a pretty long article. It's coming from Carlo Mario Pagano, the titular Archbishop of Urbania, former Apostolic Nuncio of the United States of America. United against the invisible enemy of all humanity, I bless you, and the First Lady, the beloved American nation, and all men and women of goodwill. So they know there's an invisible enemy here. That's the end of that. It says, in the recent months, we have been witnessing the formation of two opposing sides that I would call biblical. The children of light and the children of darkness. The children of light constitute the most conspicuous part of humanity, while the children of darkness represent an absolute minority. And yet the former are the object of sort of discrimination which places them in a situation of moral inferiority and respect to their adversaries, who often hold strategic positions in government, in politics, in the economy, and in the media. In an apparently inexplicable way, the good are held hostage by the wicked and by those who help them, either out of the self-interest of fearlessness. These two sides, which have a biblical nature, follow the clear separation between the offspring of the woman and the offspring of the serpent. On the one hand, there's those who, although they have 1,000 defects and weaknesses, are motivated by the desires to do good, to be honest, to raise a family, to engage in work, to give prosperity to the homeland, to help the needy, and in obedience to the law of God, to merit the kingdom of heaven. On the other hand, there are those who serve themselves, who do not hold any moral principles, who want to demolish the family and the nation, exploit workers to make themselves unduly wealthy, foment internal division and wars, and accumulate power and money. For them, the fallacious illusion of temporal well-being will one day, if they do not repent, yield to terrible fate that awaits them, far from God, in eternal damnation. In society, Mr. President, these two opposing realities coexist as eternal enemies, just as God and Satan are eternal enemies. And it appears that the children of darkness, whom we may easily identify with the deep state, which you wisely oppose, and which is fiercely waging war against you in these days, have decided to show their cards, so to speak, by now revealing their plans. They seem to be so certain of already having everything under control that they have laid aside the circumspection that until now had at least partially concealed the true intentions. These investigations already underway will reveal the true responsibility of those who managed the COVID emergency, not only in the area of healthcare, but also in politics, the economy, and the media. We will probably find that in this colossal operation of social engineering, there are people who have decided the fate of humanity, arrogating to themselves the right to act against the will of citizens and their representatives in the government of nations. We will also discover that the riots in these days were provoked by those who, seeing that the virus is inevitably fading and that the social alarm of the pandemic is waning, necessarily having had to provoke civil disturbances, because they would be followed by repression, which, although legitimate, could be condemned as unjustified aggression against the population. The same thing is happening in Europe, in perfect synchrony. It is quite clear to the use of the street protest and instrumental to the purposes of those who would like to see someone elected in the upcoming presidential elections who embodies the goals of the deep state and who expresses those goals faithfully and the conviction. It will not be surprising if in a few months we learn once again that hidden behind these acts of vandalism and violence there are those who hope to profit from the dissolution of the social order as to build a world without freedom. Salvet Kalaga, as the Masonic adage teaches. Although it may seem disconcerting, the opposing alignments I have described are also found in religious circles. There are faithful shepherds who care for the flock of Christ, but there are also mercenary infidels who seek to scatter the flock and hand the sheep over to be devoured by ravenous wolves. It is not surprising that these mercenaries are allies of the children of darkness and hate the children of light. Just as there is a deep state, there is also a deep church that betrays its duties and forswears in proper commitments before God. Thus the invisible enemy whom good rulers fight against the public affairs is also fought against by good shepherds in the ecclesiastical sphere. It is spiritual battle, which I spoke about in my recent appeal, which is published May 8th. For the first time, the United States has in you a president who courageously defends the right to fight, who is not ashamed to denounce the persecution of Christians throughout the world, who speaks of Jesus Christ and the right of citizens to freedom of worship. Your participation in the March for Life, and more recently the proclamation of the month of April as National Child Abuse Prevention Month, are actions that confirm which side you wish to fight on. And I dare to believe that both of us are on the same side in this battle, albeit with different weapons. For this reason, I believe that the attack to which you were subjected after your visit to the National Shrine of St. John Paul II is part of the orchestrated media narrative which seeks not to fight racism and bring social order, but to aggravate dispositions, not to bring justice, but to legitimate violence and crime, not to serve the truth, but to favor one political faction. And it is disconcerting that there are bishops such as those whom I recently denounced, who by their words prove that they are aligned on the opposing side. They are subservient to the deep state, to globalism, to aligned thought to the new world order, which they invoke ever more frequently in the name of a universal brotherhood, which has nothing Christian about it, but which evokes the Masonic ideals of those who to dominate the world by driving God out of the courts, out of the schools, out of the families, and perhaps even out of the churches. The American people are mature and have now understood how much mainstream media does not want to spread the truth, but seeks to silence and distort it. And this Now, well, we're almost finished, so we'll keep it up. Spreading the lie that it is useful for the purposes of the masters. However, it is important that the good, who are the majority, wake up from their sluggishness and do not accept being deceived by the minority of dishonest people who unavowable purposes. It is necessary that the good, the children of light, come together to make their voices heard. What more effective way is there to do this, Mr. President, than by prayer? Asking the Lord to protect you, the United States, and all of humanity from this enormous attack of the enemy. Before the power of prayer, the deception of the children of darkness will collapse. Their plots will be revealed. Their betrayal will be shown. Their fighting power will end in nothing, brought to light and exposed for what it is, an infernal deception. This is why I've been asking you guys as the red-pilled Christian patriot, as the remnant, as the army of God, for you to pray. Pray like you've never done before, because God is listening. This continues. Mr. President, my prayers continually turned to the beloved American nation, where I had the privilege and honor of being sent by Pope Benedict the, 10 minus 5 plus 1. So, as an apostolic nunciano. It is dramatic and decisive hour for all of humanity. I am praying for you and also for all those who are at your side of the government of the United States. I trust that American people are united with me and you in prayer to the Almighty God, united against the invisible entity of all humanity. I bless you and the First Lady, the beloved American nation, and all men and women of goodwill. Woo! You gotta love that letter. You gotta love that. Guys, this is what it is, a spiritual battle. The armor of God finally being strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. This is Ephesians 6, by the way. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of the dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything, to stand. Stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. And pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. That's the end of the Ephesians. I think it's 10 through 20. Read Ephesians 6, 10 through 20. Then Q continues. Have faith in humanity. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in God. The Great Awakening. Q. What a post. 44:29. Archbishop Carlo Mario Vigano, letter to POTUS. Biblical battle. Light versus dark. Going to 44:30. Here's a tweet. Remember your oath. Q. What's Q talking about here? The oath that these people that go into military, etc. It says that Catherine Heritage saying, read the UCMJ, Uniform Code of Military Justice, is the legal foundation for the military justice system and list offenses, plus 100 articles. Article 2 and Article 88 posted here. So here's Catherine with her little things. Look at this. There's an orange and so if you took it, the little hand being a little past 5 o'clock and that being around the 4, looks like you're about 5:20. So 5:20 p.m. on the clock, looks like. And you'll see I'm going to take one of these at a time and blow it up. And she's highlighting, person subject to this chapter, 10 U.S. Code 802, Article 2, person subject to this chapter, members of a regular component of the armed forces, cadets, active cadets, and midshipmen. And it says members of a reserve component and members of the Army National Guard. Really showing it. This goes to a lot of people. This also, number 4, says retired members of the regular component of the armed forces who are entitled to pay. So this could go, since it's retired members, this could include Kelly, and this could include Mattis and people like that. Members of the National Oceanic atmospheric administration public health system, prisoners of war in custody of the armed forces. That is one. And then go to the next one. It continues. U.S. Code, Title 10, Armed Forces. Subtitle A, General Military Law. Part 2, Personnel. Chapter 47, Uniform Code of Military Service. And this shows that this 10 U.S. Code S 88, Article 88, Contempt toward officials. Any commissioned officer who uses contemptuous words against the President, Vice President, Congress, Secretary of State, the Secretary. This is clearly showing that Mattis and Kelly and those guys working with the fake news media, the cabal's media arm, and are basically breaking military code. And Q's just saying, remember your oath, Q. 4430 is summarized as the UCMJ is a legal foundation for the military justice system. Now, we've moved into June 6th, by the way, so here we are on 4431, and we see a tweet that says, do you see what's happening? Q. He's trying to get us to wake up to look at these different items that are happening. From the New York Times. And of course, it says, text your relatives and loved ones that you won't visit or talk to them until they protest for Black lives or give dollars to social justice groups. So give money to Soros to destroy the country, and make sure that you are out protesting with your mask on to hide Antifa, or don't talk to your relatives. It says, this is nuts. Our media is far left activist groups that wants a race war and cultural revolution. That's where we are. That's why I named this episode down behind me. It says, it's not about race. This is about that plan I just told you. Put COVID out there to force masks to be worn. Actually release criminals from jail. Then do the planned riots. And then you basically have chaos in the streets where the governors and mayors don't enforce it. And there's a bunch of protesters out there in masks so that they can hide Antifa and these criminals that were let out of jail, to create massive chaos in the street. And then the governors and criminal mayors don't even bring the National Guard in. They try to use ex-military people to talk bad about Trump so he won't bring the military in. They're scared to death of the military being brought in. And they do anything to destroy this president, destroy the economy, and try to get vote by mail so they can have a rigged election. So they can go take over as the New World Order. We are fighting for our country. We are fighting for our lives of the United States and the rest of the world. Our prayers are vital. So there's the New York Times. So please stop sending #love. Stop sending positive vibes. Stop sending your thoughts. There are 3 suggestions on more immediately impactful things you can do. To fund money. Number 1, this is the New York Times lying to you. To funds that pay legal fees for black people who are unjustly arrested, imprisoned, or killed, or in the black politicians running for office. Trump's already done criminal justice reform, taking tons of black people out. He's funded black churches. He's helped do much more for the black community than ever. He's funded black universities. Obviously, the criminal justice reform was huge, and that reversed many black people going into prisons based on the Obama administration policies. So it's completely false to put and to give money to George Soros's Black Lives Matter, which is not in the interest of blacks. It's in the interest of anti-police and overthrowing the government. It may sound good. All lives matter. We know that. So do Black Lives Matter. So do many other lives matter. So if you want to protest that, don't do it in a mask out in the cities where you're hiding Antifa and doing George Soros bidding. Right? Here's text. They want you to text your relatives and loved ones telling them you will not be visiting them or answering phone calls until they take significant action in supporting black lives, either through protests or financial contributions. So give more money to George Soros. Go out there in your mask and hide Antifa, or I'm not even going to talk to you anymore. That's called division. They want us to divide the country. That's what the New York Times is about. The New York Times is the enemy of the people. Out and out. Enemy of the people. As is Anderson Cooper and Rachel Maddow and all this, going through some of these other things. This is Defense Secretary Mark Esper on Friday ordered National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. to disarm and wear soft caps instead of helmets. An official told Breitbart Nerds on Friday. That is just amazing. The official said the president told Attorney General Bill Barr that he wanted the National Guard to be armed so that they could protect themselves from rioters and looters coming into the city. But Esper, on his own, told the DC National Guard leadership to take the weapons of National Guardsmen who were coming in from other states. Guys, that is sedition. That is what a mutiny is what that is. So that summary at 4432 is Defense Secretary Mark Esper orders National Guard in D.C. to disarm, wear soft caps instead of helmets. Now we see 4433, Castle Rock, Godspeed, USA. Again, this is all about Castle Rock. I saw Luz do some theory about that Castle Rock might point toward Mattis. I think it has more to do with the White House and defense of the White House. But we'll see. We'll see what happens when that comes. That's 4433. Now we're on 4434. We have a tweet here, and it says, Black Patriot. The D's want blacks to hate the American flag as a symbol of their freedom. That's exactly what the divisive left wants. So real people talk. 6 Sill News Talk. And it has here is a person that looks like a patriot. Let's listen.
I'm going to tell you why I fly the American flag. During the Civil War, there was 2 types of flags that was flying. You had the American flag that represented the Northern Republican Party. You had the Southern flag, which was a Confederate flag that represented the Democratic Party. What's the difference between both? One for freedom and one not to stop slavery. Black Americans, I want you to educate yourself. The American flag is our symbol of freedom.
YouTube can hear it, but we can't, right?
We would have lost the war. The Democrats want you to hate something that gave you freedom. Don't fall for it. Thank you.
All right. There you go. It's basically the fact that the American flag represents eliminating slavery when they had the other flag flying in the South, right? And the Democrats were the ones that were primarily around slavery. Obviously, Lincoln was a Republican, and they were fighting for the freedom of the slaves. That's why the Black Patriot says that the Democrats want blacks to hate the American flag, a symbol of their freedom. Q. That's 4434. We go to 4435, and we see the Democrats, they patriots. We will have our country back. Q plus. So this is back all the way on December of 2018, where the Democratic Day Patriots, we will have our country back. Q plus. He just reposts that for redrop. We will have our country back, and that is Q plus, which is almost everybody realizes is Trump and nobody else. I know there's people faking like they're Q and they're Q plus. Well, sorry, you are mistaken. So be careful who you follow at this point in time, and make sure you're praying like mad, because we need the red-pilled patriots now. Last thing I want to show you just real quick, there's other things that we could get into, but this is such a long show. It's kind of broken up into 3 parts here. But I just want to make sure you guys knew that if you want to see all the source material I send you, just go to the front page of blessed2teach.com, blessed with the number 2teach.com, and right here is get the source information for each show. Give me your email. Comes each morning in the U.S. time to your email box, right? And so we do a lot of time where I take all my show notes together, gets posted onto the website, and then we send the email out. That's real nice. You can actually play the video right from from that email or from my website right here to the shows right here. And then whether I serve them up from BitChute or YouTube or my searching platform or my Kajabi platform, you will always have the Blessed Teach show, because YouTube, as you know, is taking down my videos right and left. I'm across 3 channels. I'm now on my 3rd channel right now. They won't let me go live on my 1st channel. They just pulled a video from my 3rd channel last week. So again, if you just go give me your email so that I can send you an email that you will always know where I am. Otherwise, I'll lose you guys. I'm going to lose. Right now, I have a 93,000, almost 94,000 subscribers on the main channel, and I can't even communicate with you for a week and a half, right? And I can't even do live videos there. So again, come to blessed2teach.com. If you've never been to the site, I'm just asking you, please go check it out at blessed with the number 2teach.com. There's a lot of stuff there. That's where you sign up for Backstage. That's where you can go see all the t-shirts and stores, get health information. The courses that I'm launching next week, probably about a week and a half from now. My speaking engagement, when I go live, is about contact us. You can email me and also sign up for the list. And obviously at the bottom here of the website, you have my email as well as my P.O. box, the Patreon, the PayPal. You also have all the channels that I'm on, including the BitChute backup. So just want to make sure and asking you to please go to blessed2teach.com, blessed2teach.com, so I can communicate with you as YouTube and all the censorship tries to knock us out. It's not going to work for them at all. So let me bring up this. It looks like this picture. Everything. Let me pull it over here. There you go. Underground War Update Part 8 corrected. I want to thank Gene so much for doing that. And then also, it's not about race, guys. This is about insurrection. This is about using people as pawns and their heartstrings pulled to be able to go out in a mask and protest. That's actually hiding the terrorists, the Soros advocates that are the criminals that got released, and the Antifa and all the violent people in all these different movements of Soros. Don't support them. It's not the time to do that. Let's pray. Let's wake up our blue pill friends and family. Let me pray and we'll wrap it up here. Heavenly Father, just thank you so much for this platform, despite having to start 3 times. This attacks that we're having from all angles right now. It's just not going to work. Just like presidents being attacked from all angles right now, we are going to pray against that. We are praying in faith and not fear. We are praying in faith that the cabal is completely exposed. They're exposing them right and left, and that our brothers and sisters on the other side of this this intellectual battle and information warfare start to wake up, start to understand what these evil cabal people are doing. That the MSM that controls the minds of people, we pray for you to release that spell, Lord. Just confuse the MSM and their 4 a.m. talking points. Allow the people to see the truth and wake up to see the evil of their city being destructed. See the evil of cures that can help prevent as well as solve the COVID-19 issue. Let them see the evil of these people hiding that from them. To the evil of releasing criminals and actually activating Antifa, delivering bricks, and then not having safe zones for them to actually destroy the city on purpose, trying to destroy the economy, trying to destroy our republic. America is under attack. Lord, please wake up these people from that. Protect the children. We know this is trafficking and organ trafficking and money and just complete corruption from the secret societies that the cabal run. May they be judged by you, Lord. And may you use us to help. We say these things in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Hey, with that, we're going to wrap it up, guys. Sorry for all the starts and stops, but hey, they're not going to stop us from getting the message out. Go to blessed2teach.com so you can help me keep in touch with you. God bless. Talk to you next time. You've just listened to the Blessed Teach Show. You're now empowered with the truth. Don't miss the edited short B2T clips on a new channel called B2T Clips. A big thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and PayPal. You are truly appreciated. For the links to these sites, as well as links for show notes, Backstage with Blessed Teach, training courses, and more, visit blessed2teach.com. That's blessed with the number 2, teach.com. God bless, and be sure to go empower others with the truth.